Hi everyone and welcome to the Sleep and Learn channel. Tonight, we'll gently explore some of the quietest places on Earth, places where sound fades and calm takes over. From frozen continents to endless deserts and deep oceans, these relaxing facts will slowly guide your mind into peace and rest. So settle in, relax, and let the silence begin. The quietest places on Earth and why silence exists. When people think about silence, they often imagine the absence of sound. Yet in reality, true silence is incredibly rare. The world is filled with subtle vibrations, wind moving through trees, distant waves traveling across oceans, tiny insects humming in the grass, and even the quiet shifting of the earth itself. Absolute silence almost never exists in nature. Instead, there are places where sound becomes so soft and gentle that the human mind begins to relax almost instantly. Scientists who study sound refer to quietness using a unit called the decibel. Normal conversation is around 60 decibels. A quiet library may fall to around 40 decibels. But in some of the quietest natural environments on Earth, sound levels can drop below 20 decibels, approaching the softest sounds humans can perceive. One of the reasons these places are so quiet is because they are far away from human activity. Cities produce enormous amounts of noise. Cars, airplanes, machines, electrical systems, and millions of people moving through daily life. Even when a city seems calm, the background noise rarely falls below 50 decibels. In contrast, remote regions of the planet allow natural silence to emerge. Interestingly, silence is not simply the absence of noise. It is often the result of environments that absorb sound. Thick forests, deep snow, and soft landscapes can soak up sound waves before they travel very far. Snow, for example, contains countless tiny pockets of air. These pockets act like natural sound absorbers, reducing echoes and muffling distant noise. This is why a snowy forest often feels incredibly peaceful. Human beings have always been drawn to quiet environments. Throughout history, many spiritual traditions built monasteries, temples, and retreats in remote mountains or deserts. These places allowed people to step away from the constant noise of daily life and experience a deeper sense of calm. Even today, researchers have discovered that quiet environments can lower stress, improve concentration, and help the brain recover from mental fatigue. But some places on Earth go even further. They are not just quiet, they are among the quietest environments that exist anywhere on the planet. These locations are often far from civilization, protected by geography, and shaped by natural conditions that soften or block sound. In these places, the quiet becomes something almost physical. Visitors often report hearing sounds they never noticed before, the gentle rhythm of their breathing, the subtle beat of their own heart, or the faint movement of air across the landscape. The journey to the world's quietest places takes us across frozen polar regions, deep deserts, ancient forests, and vast oceans. Each environment has its own unique form of silence. Some are soft and comforting, like a forest covered in snow. Others feel almost otherworldly, like the endless stillness of Antarctica. The quietest continent on Earth. Among all the quiet places on Earth, none is more silent, vast, and mysterious than Antarctica. This enormous frozen continent at the southern end of the planet is often described as the quietest place in the natural world. Covered almost entirely in ice and snow, Antarctica is isolated from most forms of human activity. There are no cities, no highways, and no permanent towns. Instead, the landscape stretches endlessly across glacier, mountains of ice, and frozen seas. One of the main reasons Antarctica is so quiet is its incredible remoteness. The nearest continents are thousands of kilometers away, and only a small number of scientists and researchers live there temporarily in scientific stations. Even these research stations are carefully designed to minimize environmental impact and noise. But the quiet of Antarctica is not just the absence of people. The environment itself naturally reduces sound. The thick layers of snow and ice covering the continent act like enormous blankets that absorb sound waves. Snow crystals trap tiny pockets of air between them, and these pockets help dampen vibrations that would normally travel through the air. Because of this, sounds in Antarctica often feel strangely distant. Even footsteps on the snow may seem softer than expected. When the wind stops and the sky becomes clear, the stillness can feel almost unreal. However, Antarctica is not completely silent. In fact, the continent produces some of the most unusual natural sounds on Earth. One of these sounds comes from moving glacier. Glaciers slowly flow across the land like frozen rivers, and as the ice shifts, it can create deep rumbling noises or sharp cracking sounds. Scientists sometimes compare these sounds to distant thunder. Another fascinating phenomenon occurs within the sea ice. When temperatures change rapidly, the ice expands and contracts. This movement can create long, echoing tones that travel beneath the frozen surface. Some explorers describe these sounds as haunting or musical, as if the ice itself were quietly singing. The ocean surrounding Antarctica also contributes to its soundscape. Beneath the thick ice sheets, whales communicate across enormous distances. Their low-frequency calls can travel hundreds of kilometers through the water. Although humans standing on the ice may hear nothing, the ocean below is full of slow, powerful conversations between these massive animals. During certain times of the year, Antarctica becomes even quieter. In the long polar winter, the sun disappears for months at a time. Temperatures drop to extreme levels, and strong winds sometimes fade into complete stillness. In these moments, explorers report a profound sense of calm, as if the entire continent has paused. Researchers studying sound in Antarctica have discovered something surprising. Extremely quiet environments can change the way humans perceive sound. When the background noise disappears, even the smallest sounds become noticeable. The movement of clothing, the crunch of snow crystals, or the gentle rhythm of breathing. For many scientists and explorers, Antarctica represents one of the last places on Earth where true natural silence can still be experienced. It is a landscape shaped not by noise or machines, but by ice, wind, and time. Where vast space softens every sound. While Antarctica is often considered the quietest continent, some of the most peaceful and surprisingly silent environments on Earth can also be found in the world's great deserts. These immense landscapes stretch across thousands of kilometers, where the absence of cities, forests, and dense populations allows sound to fade into the distance. At first glance, deserts might not seem quiet. Many people imagine strong winds moving across dunes or grains of sand constantly shifting across the ground. Yet during calm periods, deserts can become extraordinarily still. With few plants, animals, or human structures to create noise, the environment settles into a deep, natural quiet. One of the most famous silent deserts is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. Often called the driest place on Earth, the Atacama receives almost no rainfall in some regions for decades. Because there is so little water, very little vegetation grows there, and few animals live in the harsh environment. Without trees rustling or rivers flowing, the landscape becomes incredibly still. The air in deserts also plays an important role in shaping sound. Dry desert air tends to absorb sound waves differently than humid air found in forests or coastal regions. When the wind is calm, sound travels slowly and softly across the open landscape. Even a small noise can be heard from far away, but the overall atmosphere remains peaceful and quiet. Another remarkable feature of deserts is their vast open space. Mountains, buildings, and dense vegetation often cause echoes by reflecting sound waves. In deserts, however, the open terrain allows sound to disperse freely. Instead of bouncing back, sound simply spreads outward and gradually disappears into the distance. Some explorers describe walking through desert landscapes during the early morning hours as one of the quietest experiences on Earth. Before the sun heats the air and creates wind currents, the desert often becomes perfectly still. Sand dunes appear frozen in place, and the horizon stretches endlessly beneath a pale sky. Among the most beautiful silent deserts are the great dune seas, such as those found in the Sahara. These dunes can rise hundreds of meters high and stretch for many kilometers. When the wind stops, the soft sand absorbs sound, creating a gentle acoustic environment where footsteps become muted and distant. Yet deserts can also produce some of the most mysterious natural sounds on Earth. Certain dunes are known as singing dunes. When large quantities of sand slide down the surface of a dune, they can produce deep humming or booming tones. These sounds are caused by the synchronized movement of millions of sand grains vibrating together. The tones produced by singing dunes can sometimes last for several seconds and may be heard from kilometers away. Ancient travelers crossing desert regions often wrote about these strange sounds, believing they were produced by spirits or hidden forces within the sand. Despite these occasional sounds, deserts remain among the quietest landscapes on the planet. Their vastness, dryness, and simplicity create environments where the natural world moves slowly and gently. For many visitors, the silence of the desert feels different from other quiet places. It is not only peaceful but also expansive. Standing in the middle of a desert can give a person the feeling of being surrounded by endless space, where sound has room to disappear into the horizon. Nature's quiet sound chambers. While deserts and polar regions are known for their vast silence, some of the most peaceful and calming quiet places on Earth are found within ancient forests. These environments are not completely silent, yet the sounds that exist there are soft, layered, and gentle. The forest transforms noise into a calm and natural soundscape that many people find deeply relaxing. One reason forests feel so quiet is because trees and vegetation act as natural sound barriers. Trunks, branches, leaves, and moss all interact with sound waves in different ways. Instead of allowing sound to travel freely across long distances, forests absorb, scatter, and soften it. This creates what scientists sometimes call a natural acoustic chamber. When sound enters a dense forest, it rarely travels far before it is weakened. Leaves break apart sound waves, tree trunks reflect them in different directions, and the forest floor, often covered with soft soil, moss, and fallen leaves, absorbs vibrations. The result is a landscape where harsh noises quickly fade away. Ancient forests are especially effective at creating this calm acoustic environment. These forests have developed over hundreds or even thousands of years. Their complex layers of vegetation, from towering trees to low shrubs and thick carpets of moss, form a natural system that gently filters sound. One famous example is the Hoh Rainforest in Washington State in the United States. Located within Olympic National Park, this forest is often considered one of the quietest places in North America. Towering spruce and hemlock trees form a dense canopy overhead, while the ground below is covered in deep green moss. Visitors to the Hoh Rainforest often describe a feeling of stepping into another world. The thick vegetation absorbs most distant noise, leaving only soft natural sounds such as birds calling, water dripping from leaves, or the gentle movement of wind through the branches. Scientists studying quiet environments have even measured the background sound levels in parts of this forest. At times, the natural noise level can fall to around 20 decibels, which is close to the quietest sounds humans can comfortably hear. Another remarkable feature of ancient forests is their slow rhythm of life. Trees grow gradually over decades or centuries, and the ecosystem moves at a calm, steady pace. This slow movement contributes to the peaceful atmosphere people experience when walking through these environments. The sounds that do exist in forests are usually subtle and organic. A distant woodpecker tapping on a tree, a stream quietly flowing over stones, or a light breeze passing through the canopy creates gentle patterns of sound rather than sudden noise. Many cultures throughout history have recognized the calming effects of forests. Monks, philosophers, and writers often sought out forest environments for meditation, reflection, and study. Even today, a practice known as forest bathing, originally developed in Japan, encourages people to spend quiet time in forests to reduce stress and restore mental clarity. Researchers have discovered that spending time in quiet natural forests can lower heart rate, reduce stress hormones, and improve concentration. The combination of filtered sound, soft natural light, and steady natural rhythms helps the human brain shift into a calmer state. In many ways, forests offer a different kind of silence than deserts or polar regions. Instead of complete stillness, they create a gentle harmony of small natural sounds that blend together into a peaceful background. The hidden silence beneath the earth. Far beneath the surface of the earth lies another world where silence takes on an entirely different character. Deep cave systems are among the quietest environments that humans can experience. Protected by thick layers of rock and soil, these underground spaces are almost completely isolated from the sounds of the outside world. Unlike forests, deserts, or polar regions, caves are enclosed environments. The heavy rock above them acts as a powerful barrier that blocks wind, weather, traffic, and other distant noises. As a result, the deeper a person travels into a cave system, the more the outside world slowly disappears. Many explorers describe entering a deep cave as moving into a place where sound becomes extremely delicate. Even small noises, such as footsteps on stone or the quiet drip of water, can echo through the chambers with remarkable clarity. However, some parts of caves are so still that they approach what scientists call near-natural silence. In these places, there are almost no moving air currents, and very few living creatures. The result is an environment where sound levels can become extremely low. One of the most fascinating experiences reported by cave explorers occurs when they turn off their lights and remain completely still. In the darkness and quiet of a deep cavern, the human brain begins to notice sounds that are usually hidden by everyday noise. People sometimes report hearing the gentle rhythm of their own breathing, the faint beat of their heartbeat, or the subtle movement of their clothing. In extremely quiet environments, the brain becomes more sensitive to internal sounds produced by the body itself. Some of the quietest caves in the world are found in vast limestone cave systems that have formed over millions of years. Water slowly dissolves limestone rock, creating enormous underground chambers filled with stalactites, stalagmites, and winding tunnels. Inside these chambers, time seems to move differently. Water may drip slowly from the ceiling, forming mineral formations that grow only a few millimeters every century. This incredibly slow process contributes to the calm and timeless atmosphere of caves. Despite their quietness, caves are not completely silent. The most common sound deep underground is the gentle drip of water falling from the ceiling. Over long periods of time, these drops help shape the cave itself, slowly carving out new passages and formations. In some cave systems, underground rivers flow silently through dark tunnels beneath the rock. These hidden streams create soft echoes that travel through the cavern walls, producing a low and calming background sound. Certain caves also contain unique acoustic properties. Because of their shape, some chambers can carry sound across surprisingly long distances. A whisper spoken in one part of a chamber may travel through the space and be heard far away. Scientists and explorers have long been fascinated by the silence of caves. These environments provide valuable opportunities for studying natural sound levels and understanding how sound behaves in enclosed spaces. For many visitors, the quiet of a deep cave feels profoundly different from any silence found on the surface. It is darker, deeper, and more complete. Without wind, animals, or distant activity, the underground world becomes a place where the mind can fully rest. The silent depths of the ocean. Far below the surface of the oceans lies another remarkable world of quiet. While the ocean is often associated with crashing waves and powerful storms, the deep sea is one of the most peaceful environments on Earth. Thousands of meters beneath the surface, sunlight disappears, temperatures drop, and movement becomes slow and gentle. The deep ocean is often described as the largest quiet environment on our planet. More than 70% of Earth's surface is covered by water, and most of this water lies far below the reach of sunlight and surface noise. In these depths, sound behaves very differently than it does in air. Water actually carries sound more efficiently than air. In fact, sound can travel nearly 4 times faster in water than in the atmosphere. Because of this, certain sounds in the ocean can travel enormous distances. Whales, for example, communicate with low-frequency calls that can travel hundreds or even thousands of kilometers through the deep sea. Yet despite this ability for sound to travel far, the deep ocean can still feel incredibly quiet. This is because there are relatively few sources of sound in the deep sea. Far from ships and coastlines, the underwater environment becomes calm and steady. One of the quietest regions in the ocean lies in areas known as the abyssal plains. These vast underwater landscapes stretch across the ocean floor at depths of 3,000 to 6,000 meters. The terrain is surprisingly flat and covered with fine sediments that have slowly settled from the water above over millions of years. In these depths, the environment is extremely stable. There are no winds, no waves, and almost no temperature changes. The water moves very slowly, creating an atmosphere of deep stillness. The animals that live in the deep ocean also move quietly. Many deep-sea creatures drift slowly through the water, conserving energy in an environment where food is scarce. Jellyfish pulse gently through the darkness, while strange fish with glowing organs glide through the cold water. Bioluminescent organisms add another remarkable element to the silent ocean world. Many deep-sea animals produce their own light using chemical reactions inside their bodies. Small flashes of blue or green light appear briefly in the darkness, creating a calm and mysterious underwater landscape. Some of the quietest places in the ocean exist within deep underwater trenches. The Mariana Trench, the deepest known place on Earth, reaches nearly 11,000 meters below the surface. At these extreme depths, the pressure is enormous, and very few creatures are able to survive. Despite the harsh conditions, scientists have discovered life even in these deep trenches. Small crustaceans, strange fish, and microscopic organisms continue to thrive in the darkness. Researchers studying underwater sound have discovered that some parts of the deep ocean have extremely low levels of background noise. When human activity is far away, the only sounds that may be heard are the distant calls of whales, the slow movement of underwater currents, or the faint crackling sounds produced by tiny marine organisms. For humans who explore these depths using submersibles, the experience can feel almost dreamlike. The outside world disappears, replaced by darkness, drifting particles, and the quiet movement of water. The deep ocean reminds us that silence can exist even in environments that are constantly in motion. Beneath the waves, far from storms and coastlines, the planet holds one of its most peaceful and mysterious landscapes. Together with Antarctica, deserts, forests, and caves, The deep ocean forms part of a network of extraordinary quiet places across our world, locations where sound fades and nature speaks in its calmest voice. Why silence feels so powerful to the human mind? After exploring Antarctica, deserts, ancient forests, caves, and the deep ocean, a fascinating question remains. Why do quiet places affect us so strongly? Across cultures and throughout history, humans have always searched for silence. From mountain monasteries to remote islands, people have traveled great distances simply to experience peaceful environments where noise fades away. Modern science has begun to understand why these quiet places feel so powerful. The human brain evolved in natural environments where loud artificial noise did not exist. For most of human history, the sounds people heard were gentle and predictable. Wind moving through trees, flowing water, distant animal calls, or the quiet rhythm of footsteps on soil. In contrast, modern cities produce constant mechanical noise. Traffic, engines, construction, and electronic devices create an almost continuous background of sound. Even when people believe they are resting, the brain is still processing thousands of small noises every minute. Researchers studying sound and the brain have discovered something surprising. Silence itself can be restorative. When the brain experiences periods of quiet, it begins to shift into a different mode of activity. Areas responsible for memory, creativity, and emotional balance become more active. Some studies suggest that just 2 minutes of natural silence can have a stronger calming effect on the brain than listening to relaxing music. In quiet environments, heart rate slows, stress hormones decrease, and the mind becomes more focused. One reason silence has this effect is because the brain finally has the opportunity to rest from constant stimulation. Instead of reacting to every passing sound, the nervous system settles into a calmer rhythm. Quiet environments also allow people to notice subtle details in the world around them. In a silent forest, for example, the gentle movement of leaves or the distant sound of water becomes more noticeable. In a desert, the vast stillness of the landscape creates a powerful sense of space and calm. Scientists sometimes refer to these environments as natural acoustic sanctuaries. These are places where human-made noise is minimal and where natural soundscapes remain largely undisturbed. Around the world, certain national parks and remote wilderness areas are now being protected specifically because of their natural quiet. For many visitors, entering one of these quiet environments can feel almost transformative. The absence of noise allows the mind to slow down and become more aware of the present moment. Interestingly, silence also changes how we perceive time. In noisy environments, the brain constantly shifts attention between different sounds and distractions. But in quiet places, time often feels slower and more spacious. A few minutes spent in deep silence can feel much longer and more meaningful. This is one reason why quiet places have always played an important role in human culture. Philosophers, artists, and scientists have often sought solitude and silence when trying to think deeply or create new ideas. Even today, many people travel to remote landscapes simply to reconnect with natural quiet. National parks, deserts, mountains, and polar regions offer rare opportunities to experience environments where sound has not been overwhelmed by modern activity. The quietest places on Earth remind us of something simple but powerful. The world does not need to be loud to be full of life. In the gentle silence of nature, the planet continues its slow and steady rhythms. From the frozen stillness of Antarctica to the calm depths of the ocean, these peaceful environments show that silence is not emptiness. Instead, it is a space where the mind can rest, where nature moves quietly, and where the world reveals its most subtle and beautiful sounds. Thank you for watching and spending this quiet time with us. If you enjoyed these relaxing facts, Don't forget to subscribe to the Sleep and Learn channel for more peaceful content to help you unwind and fall asleep. Wishing you a calm night and restful sleep. See you in the next video.